This is the Hawk Talk podcast from River Valley School District. This podcast is a vehicle for sharing many of the great things taking place in River Valley schools. Thanks for listening. Welcome to the Hawk Talk podcast. I'm Mike McDermott. I'm your host, and today we are joined by Heather Meixelsperger from the River Valley Middle School, and we're going to be talking about the Middle School Outdoor Adventure Club. Welcome back, Heather.
Welcome, Mike.
This was this is somewhat of a follow-up reunion show in the sense that last year Heather and her husband Jason were on our very first podcast, actually the first and the second podcast, because I didn't do so well on the first one, so we redid it. But
we're going to get it right on the first time today.
We're going to get it right right now. So several weeks ago, I had the chance to drop in on your Outdoor Adventure Club, an after-school program, as you were embarking on a fishing expedition at Bakkens Pond, west of Spring Green. So let's talk a little bit about that fishing expedition and what is the Outdoor Adventure Club. So let's start there.
Sure. So a couple weeks ago, we took a handful of students, I'd say about 15, 16 students from the middle school out to Bakkens Pond or Bakkens Pond, however you want to pronounce it, I guess. And we had arranged to use some kayaks and canoes from Wisconsin Riverside, and they brought them out and dropped them off for us. And then Mr. Radke, myself, Mr. Meixelsperger, and Dave Youngquist all met at Bakkens Pond and went off on an adventure. Fishing wasn't the best. However, I think the students had a great time fishing and just adventuring around, taking some time together to go out and discover something maybe that they haven't ever done before. And so I had never been at Bakkens Pond either, and so it was an adventure. The students had a pretty decent time playing with whatever green sludge stuff is floating on top of the backwaters right now, and we saw some ducks and a handful of fish. A couple kids caught a couple fish, but it wasn't overly superb fishing, but it was a wonderful time nonetheless.
And it sounds like that's probably the goal of the Outdoor Adventure Club anyway. It would catching fish would be a bonus.
I would agree.
But the primary goal is to get kids outdoors, experiencing some things that maybe they don't get to do on a regular basis. And it's an extension of the school day, but really that opportunity to do some things that are unique.
I would definitely agree. That was our goal. When I was hired a couple of years ago, we had done an adventure club out at Weston School District and really had a nice time with that. And I thought that was something that our middle school was missing. It's one thing to be a part of a football team or a basketball team or cross country or track or whatever. But what if you're not an athlete? And we're not saying that the athletes can't join us, because we want anybody and everybody to come and join us. However, we want you to be a part of the district. And we feel that, by maybe just getting out in the outdoors, that provides you that opportunity to come out and have a nice time as an extension of the school day, a little more unstructured, and just understanding what is going on in the outdoors around us. Some things that we've done in the past, we have gone up and skied and tubed and snowboarded at Cascade Mountain, which was a wonderful time. We said that the kids really enjoy that one, so that's one that we have in place every year. January or February, we go up and do that at Cascade. We have gone ice fishing in the past with some expertise help from some gentlemen in the community, and have a campfire and, do some ice fishing. And let's see, some other things we've done. We have built duck houses. That was a smaller group, but they built some duck houses and put those out on the river. Some things that we hope to be doing this year are going snowshoeing and playing capture the flag. I know that sounds like a funny thing, but a lot of students don't know what capture the flag is anymore. And we thought it'd be a great way of using school grounds and playing capture the flag around here. We have gone trap shooting in the past before we started this trap shooting club. We didn't start it now before some other people in the community started trap shooting. But it was a great opportunity to get students doing things that maybe they've never had the opportunity to do before. Maybe they do with their parents, and maybe they just wanted the opportunity to do it with their friends. So it just, I'm hoping, is filling a niche that has been lacking.
Fantastic. It sounds like also the partnership with the DNR via Dave Youngquist is a very important piece of that puzzle for you. How did that get started?
Well, it just happened that Dave and I were talking one day over the summer, and I said, Dave, what do you think about this? And Dave's like, I think that's a great idea. Actually, I just talked to Mr. Radke about doing something like that. And it was so funny because I had just talked to Mr. Radke about doing something like that as well. So having Dave come in, he is so knowledgeable and so helpful, and he has so many connections that I don't have. It's wonderful to put the two together and get kids out and into the outdoors. And I know that is his goal, and I know that's our goal. So just working together has been absolutely amazing.
Well, it's a great community partnership, and we'll be speaking with Dave a little bit later and get his perspective as a DNR representative on how we can maybe provide more opportunities for young people to be active in the outdoors.
Definitely.
So,
and I can't say enough for the help that we've received from some of the people in the community as well. Whether it's loaning us fishing poles, drilling holes in the ice, to go out ice fishing, providing hot chocolate, or, various items. So, the community has been super great about supporting various items or various things that we've done. And I look forward to continuing to have that support.
Great. Well, we're coming up on a change of seasons, as it sure feels like it today, as the weather's changing. So
That's true.
So that ice fishing, skiing, snowboarding thing might not be too far off.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
Great. Well, Heather, thanks for taking the time to come back and talk to us, and good luck with the Outdoor Adventure Club for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Mike McDermott back with Dave Youngquist from the Wisconsin DNR. And Dave, you are a warden with the DNR, correct?
I am. I'm a warden with the DNR. It's in the Spring Green Station here, have been since about 1999.
Great. And earlier we talked with Heather Meixelsperger about the Outdoor Adventure Club and their trip out to, is it Bakken or Bacon Pond?
It's Bakken Pond.
Okay, I've heard both pronunciations. Heather mentioned both, and I thought I would ask you, since maybe you'd have.
I've always known it as Bakken's Pond, and that's what people always tell me how it's pronounced.
Sure. So that was an opportunity to get some young people out in canoes and kayaks and a chance to fish, but really beyond whether they caught any fish, it was just about that experience of enjoying the outdoors, and you got to play a part in that.
It was, and I think this is the second time we've done the canoe/kayak fishing. We started, we being Mr. Radke and myself and Mrs. Meixelsperger and her husband Jason started the outdoor club, RVOC, we call it River Valley Outdoor Adventure Club, with the thought of getting kids outside, doing different things that they may not otherwise have a chance to do, and as part of DNR's initiative to get more people out fishing and hunting and enjoying the outdoors, this fits perfectly with that.
Mm-hmm. Great. And it seems to me that those activities are legacy activities in a way, meaning that if your parents or some relatives in your family are hunters or they fish, then you tend to do those things. And that's not exclusively the case, but is that largely the case? Is that's how young people are introduced to those activities?
It really is, and that's why this RVOC, I think, has been kind of filling a niche, if you will, here at River Valley Schools, because the kids that come to these events are kids who don't normally get out and fish or hunt or kayak or canoe. Mm-hmm. And so the kids that show up, I think they're having a great time because it's completely new to them.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Do you have a way of tracking whether the number of young people that are coming into those activities is steady or dropping or rising? Does the DNR have any mechanism for tracking that? Or what's just sort of your sense overall?
My sense overall is that it's on the decline nationwide. I think regionally and in Wisconsin, it's increasing with young people, at least the fishing.
Okay.
But we track our Learn to Hunt programs, specifically the turkey hunting program, to see what kind of return we're getting the next year and the years after that. Are they coming back into the sport and going turkey hunting again?
Sure. And that's, that's an turkey hunting for you is an area of particular interest or expertise, it seems. Is that
It is.
would it be fair to say? I read that you had received some commendation or recognition for your work in turkey conservation and education. So tell us a little bit about that interest for you.
You're right. I grew up hunting and fishing in Iowa County. I grew up in Madison, but my folks have owned land here in Iowa County since the early 80s. And my dad and I started turkey hunting back in, I want to say 1987, shortly after the reintroduction of the turkey from Missouri to Wisconsin. And then when I got the Spring Green Station, I started getting involved in the Learn to Turkey Hunt program here that we started in Iowa County. Well, we started it. And back then, the department wasn't involved in these Learn to Hunt programs, so I just started doing it on my own time. But then the department saw the wisdom of getting new hunters into it, not just youth, but new turkey hunters into it. And the Learn to Hunt program just grew from there. And that award you mentioned is an award I got from the National Wild Turkey Federation for public relations and getting people into the outdoors turkey hunting, but also in enforcement and catching people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, violating turkey hunting rules.
Sure. So how do young people get connected with that Learn to Hunt program?
Well, it's really pretty easy. Just in January or so, I start a list of people who are interested, and then send them a permission slip. They fill it out, and or they can get the information. We put ads in papers in the schools around town here in Spring Green, Dodgeville, Mazo, Arena, places like that, gas stations, and people just fill out the slip, and if they meet the criteria, then they're chosen. And we usually cap it at about 30 to 35 hunters. That's about as many as we can handle. But we've done this program, this Learn to Hunt program, since 2003, so it's been quite a while.
So those young people then go out with an experienced hunter, and they actually go out and have a chance to participate in a hunt.
They do. It involves 4 hours of classroom time. By statute, they have to have 4 hours of classroom time. They have to be 10 years old. They do not need hunter safety. And they go out with that mentor one of the first Saturdays in April and hunt with one firearm and within arm's length of each other. And that program is what the mentorship hunting program is now built upon, so that people can take their child out who's 10, be within arm's length of each other, one gun between them, and they can hunt for different species.
Great. And hunter safety, what age do kids need to be to go through that program?
They should be at least 11 years old. Some hunter safety instructors who are volunteers, they'll take kids younger, sometimes 9, 10 years old. So there's no absolute minimum, but we encourage kids to be at least 10 or 11 years old so that they can grasp the material and have the maturity to handle a firearm.
Sure. 5 or 6 years ago, it seemed there was a shortage of DNR wardens in the field, or a potential shortage based on people retiring. Where does that stand now? Are you fully staffed, or is it still an area where you're looking at positions that need to be filled?
You know, it's always an area that we're short wardens. It always seems like there's too much work to go around and too much to try to do. So, because every year there's retirements, and now we've gone through this realignment, so the wardens now are in the state parks around the state doing the ranger duties. And so I think that we're going to be spread that much more thin, but we're refocusing our enforcement efforts and making the best of the situation. And I've had a couple shifts up at Devils Lake State Park and Yellowstone Lake State Park, and they've been enjoyable. I started working as a ranger at Devils Lake, and it's been fun to be back up there.
Sure. It seems like it might be a nice vocational option for young people growing up in an area that's so rich in natural resources, and maybe kids who learn to hunt or fish and love to be outdoors. So that seems like that might be an avenue that kids would say, hey, I could do that for a living. Yeah,
definitely, and I would really encourage kids, once they're 16, they can do a ride-along with me in the area here, or another warden. They can go into a park and ride with a warden in a park once they're 16 or over. But it is a great field. You're outdoors a lot. You have to be a people person. You have to enjoy people and working with people. We're not just out there writing tickets. We're in the schools a lot, like I am today. I go into classrooms. I've been in a Mr. Snow's classroom in the last fall, sports clubs. So it is a lot of fun. It's great to be out and educating on people who are out using the resource. And quite frankly, it's fun catching people that need getting caught.
Yeah, and it seems like the skill set does require more than just, say, loving to be outside and hunting. The communication skills must be really critical. As I read some of the stories of the kind of work, the kind of situations that wardens end up in, where there could be some dicey situations, and obviously some people that are unhappy, people who are certainly not happy about getting caught doing something, and those communication skills would be paramount.
They are paramount. They're really important. We have to be able to get the truth out of someone, because many times our witnesses to these violations and crimes don't speak, of course. So we have to be good communicators, and we have to be able to talk to people and get them to understand why it's in their best interest to get the truth out and get it behind them and try to educate them on why the law is there. But communication is huge in this job. And the other side of that, too, is that we're by ourselves a lot of the time, so we don't have backup very close. And so, there's times you have to verbally de-escalate a situation, talk someone down, calm them down, minimize the situation as best you can, just for our own safety.
Sure. And this is with the onset now of various hunting seasons. It's got to be the busiest time of the year for you.
It really is. Yeah, it's really starting to pick up, and it's going to peak, of course, right around the 9-day deer season. And during that 9 days, I think I worked last year about 140 hours just during that 9 days. So I don't get much time to hunt myself during the 9-day season. Maybe one morning or one afternoon, middle of the week. But it's really all hands on deck come opening weekend for all of us wardens in the state. And that's fine. I knew that going in. And what I enjoy is getting out bow hunting when it's not such a crazy time.
Sure. Well, that's great. Well, Dave, thanks so much for your work with the school program and what you do for educating the community and hopefully helping to bring up another generation of young people who are learning to enjoy the things that we have to offer in this part of the state. So we appreciate that work.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me in.